Garbo performed at LA's Colony Studio Theater. Credo staged at LA's Odyssey Theater, et cetera, et cetera. Artistic director for Ojai Art Center Theater for 3 years. And that is how I've come to know Richard for Black Comedy, 33 Variations on Golden Pond. He's the AD for the Ojai Performing Arts Center Theater. And his new play, Lordy Mercy, will have its world premiere in 2024. And Richard, can you tell me, so what gave you the inspiration with you and Joan to launch OPAT?
Well, OPAT is, after working for 3 years at the Art Center, I felt that I wanted just another challenge. And Joan Kemper is such an enormously talented and wonderful woman. She's 100 years old, and she's been doing theater for quite some time. And so I thought I would, hook my star to her little sled, and we've been going for the last 3 or 4 years ever since. But mostly it's because of Joan Kemper. She's just a wonderful woman. And
are you serious? She's 100 years old?
Yes, she's 100 and a half. She celebrated her 100th birthday last December. We had a little party for her. So I was empty. And she's an amazing. So we have done musicals throughout the years, and we've done last spring we did Harvey, and we have done a tribute to Robert Hammerstein, and right now we're doing the Fantasticks. Because why are we doing the Fantasticks? Because it is one of the most beautiful musicals that's ever been written. It is the longest running play in the history of musical theater. It played for 42 straight years after it opened in 1960. There's been another revival of it, and we are reviving it right here in Ojai. It's a beautiful play, and the person that I felt was right to direct this play is sitting right there somewhere, Rosie Gordon.
Right. So I'm just curious, Douglas, where do you live? Are you in Ojai now, or are you in New York? Where are you?
I'm currently in Ojai just for this production. I live in Los Angeles, in Studio City, kind of back and forth between LA and New York, but mostly Los Angeles these last several years since the pandemic.
Okay, and Richard, how did you find Douglas?
A mutual friend. We were looking for El Gallo, and El Gallo is the what do you call him? I hate the word star, but he is the star. But he holds the play together. He is the narrator. He tells everything that you are going to see, and then comments on what you are going to see, and he does it with the most exquisite singing voice. And I have a friend, Assunta Fleming. You may know her. She's been in many of our OPAT productions. And I said, well, we need an El Gallo. I described him, and she said, Douglas. So there, a mitzvah.
Ah, okay. And so and Douglas, what do you do? What do you do after this?
Who knows? It's an actor's life, right? So immediately after this, I have a couple of concerts still to go back and do in New York. I have I'm doing a new workshop. I can't say anything about it other than it's written by the guy who wrote The Lion King. That we've workshopped Act 1 already of the new play he's written, and now we're doing Act 2 in September. So just things here and there, little pieces here and there until we see what's big next.
And so, just a question for you: how did you discover your voice?
Oh wow! When I was 2 or 3 years old, I was sitting on my grandpa's lap, and he played guitar and piano and ukulele and all of this stuff, and they made recordings of me singing. I think I was singing before I was speaking. And frankly, I've heard some of those recordings. I even was singing Silent Night in Spanish, and I'd never even knew Spanish. So I have these recordings of me as a little boy, 2 or 3 years old, and it's the first thing I knew. It's the first thing I remember knowing is I'm a singer my whole life.
That's amazing. Richard's giving us a sign we got to go to quick break. When we get back from the break, Rosie, I want you to just quickly do a précis, a little, just, couple of paragraphs of what the play is all about. As I said, it was, I think, probably the first, did I see it at Kung's Home in Chicago? I don't know. I was 12 or 13. Fantasticks was the first play I ever saw on my birthday years ago. And Richard, it's interesting, before you came on, I was mentioning to Rosie that you are opening on August 25th, which is my birthday. Which years ago, I saw the play with Richard Chamberlain in Chicago. I was a kid.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm no Richard Chamberlain, but I hope you're coming back to celebrate your birthday with us again.
Yeah, I think I should definitely. That's a fantastic, fantastic idea. Okay, don't turn that down. We'll be back in a minute. We just reintroduced OPAT, which is the Ojai Performing Arts Theater, under the direction of Richard Cam. They're opening Fantasticks, the longest running musical in history, 42 years straight on Broadway. And so
Off Broadway. Sorry.
off Broadway, okay. Being reprised at the Matilaha Auditorium, opening August 25th. Don't turn that down.
All right, we are clear, and we are right on the edge of the fire marshal's prohibition on too many people in Zoom. And the fire marshal is really strict.
At the half hour, Ben only wanted to do a half hour. So at the half hour, we're going to have another theater called the Fractured Actors Theater Company. And they're presenting Sweet Jay's Speakeasy.
I got a question on that title of the group, the Fractured Actors Theater.
Yeah, you can ask them when they come on at
Well,
10:30.
I was just gonna, no, it was more along the lines of, okay, it's the Fractured Actors Theater. So do you still say at the beginning of every performance, break a leg?
Very good. That's maybe
That
that's maybe how
Well,
that's maybe how that happened. I don't know. That it could be.
And Richard, you got a beautiful voice there, man. I loved
No,
listening
that's Douglas.
to the way
That's
that song
Douglas.
about September. The original lyrics were some kind of February, and they really worked hard to try to find something to rhyme with it. They couldn't, so they went with September. little history, little backstory there.
No,
I'm trying to.
Science fiction is what that is.
The magic of theater.
The magic of theater. Just don't ask Houdini to do anything. Shortly
you
after,
know,
he usually dies.
Also, it might be worth mentioning that the lyricist and librettist Tom Jones just passed away last week, also 95 years old.
Wow. Congratulations on his 95 years.
Yes,
Sad on
he
his
just passed
departure.
away last week. I'm guessing we might be the first production of Fantasticks to open since his passing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
interesting.
wow.
I don't know that we are, but I'm guessing we surely must be. I mean, I can't imagine there are a bunch of theaters rehearsing this right now.
All right, here we go. No more rehearsals. It's now live. 3, 2, 1. You are live.
Welcome. It's Elizabeth Stewart celebrating OPAT, which is Ojai Performing Arts Theater, opening Fantasticks, the Fantasticks. And Rosie Gordon is here, who's the director. And I asked Rosie, although it's been years that I've seen this play, I do remember how magical it is. And Rosie, would you just describe a little bit of the arc, the précis of the play, if you will?
Yeah, sure. It's very, like you said, it is very magical. I'm not surprised that you have a story about going to see it on your birthday, because I feel like everyone has a Fantasticks story of seeing it, or, playing a part in high school, or everybody has a very fond memory of the show. So the plot is pretty basic. It's a classic, two young lovers and their fathers are trying to keep them apart, but then it sort of gets a little more, hijinks ensue, and we have the lovely El Gallo who joins the story. There's a couple of old actors that pop out of a box and join us. It's an interesting musical because there isn't too much plot. There's enough, but the plot is sort of very incidental to all of the things that happen on stage. There's a lot of excitement and adventure and tender moments, romance, beautiful songs. So the plot is a pretty basic, boy meets girl, dads try to keep them apart. Then there's a dashing hero who enters, and everything is righted and happy ending. Maybe.
So having said that, I wonder, Richard has said that Douglas Ladner can do a little song, and I'd love for him to sing a bit of "Try to Remember." I I've never forgotten that song, and seeing it performed on stage. And I think I tried to work it out on the piano that evening when I got home. So it's a song that's dear to my heart. I wonder, Douglas, if you could sing a little bit of that for us.
My pleasure. It's such an iconic, beautiful song. It's my pleasure.
Twist his arm.
Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow.
Beautiful. And
Isn't
there's
he
a
the best? Isn't he just the best?
Yeah,
That whole
well,
time
it's-
I was struggling to not have my dog drink water right beside me while I was speaking.
yeah, the glories of Zoom. That's right. That's right. Fantastic. And it's Richard, isn't that amazing? Because we've had plenty of people sing on our program since we went to Zoom, and it doesn't sound right. And Douglas has got a quality of the voice where it cuts through all that kind of inadequate sound quality in Zoom. Or am I wrong, Richard?
No. It's his microphone. No, he does. It's the
first
equipment.
time-
No,
the
he
first
has
time
a
that I
beautiful
spoke-
voice that does come through, and that's very nice. And you've got that. I want to say baritone, but I'm actually thinking you're a tenor, right?
No, bass
No.
baritone.
Baritone. Oh,
Baritone.
bass?
Bass baritone on the
Bass
verge.
baritone. Ah, yeah.
The
Well,
first time that I
once
spoke
again,
to
very,
Douglas,
very, very beautiful.
sorry, I keep
Go ahead,
interrupting
Rosie.
him. The first time that I spoke to Douglas on the phone before we met in person, and we were moving ahead with this project, I thought, well, I really hope he's a good actor, which he is. He's the triple threat. But talking to him on the phone, his voice was so lovely. I thought, well, if nothing else, people will just have a wonderful time listening to him say words. It
Thank
turns
you.
out it's the full package, but I just, oh my God, that's the most beautiful, even just speaking voice I've ever heard.
He
So
does the announcements at the beginning and the end of the play, as well as at intermission. Please come back when the lights flash.
yeah, we should.
Well, I have to say, I was asking Richard about what he hears because I have to brag about Richard. Richard and I've been doing this program every Friday for 15, 16 years now. And we've had so many interesting people on and so many different voices that we've heard.
Oh, yeah.
Richard he's a pro at voice anything because he was born
Legally
blind.
blind. Legally blind.
Legally blind.
Not totally.
So he couldn't, that wasn't a faculty that he could rely on.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so over the years, he wasn't a sighted person till he was 13 or so and had an operation. So over the years, he learned how to distinguish voices.
Oh, yeah.
And so, he's done a lot of that work in radio.
That's why you heard so many different people talking to you before the show started. And they were
Yeah.
going to, send you to the gulag if you didn't, anyway.
Yeah, but it's really something that we take for granted. I think that's such a precious.
Yeah. And
Don't you-
Richard, I'm curious about something. I mean, you do have, and first of all, when people such as we have just done have complimented you on your voice, on your singing, on the song that you did and the emotion and on and on and on. When I first started doing stuff like that, it's like, I have to leave the room while they do that because it's like, it's so embarrassing. Have you developed, I don't want to say a thick skin, but have you developed in a way that you just say, thank you, and you recognize what they hear, and that you have a beautiful voice, that you have that talent. And again, in a very humble, non-egotistical way. Yeah, I'm good at what I do. I do have a beautiful voice.
Are you asking Richard that or me that?
I'm asking
No,
you,
that's Douglas. Yeah.
Douglas. I beg your pardon, Douglas.
Look, I don't claim responsibility for the voice per se, because it's just that's my gift, and I'm grateful it's there. And my dog is drinking water again.
What you're saying is, on the advice of counsel.
No, just to say, I feel like it's been with me my whole life, and it's been maybe what has been recognized as that's what I'm special at my whole life, and I'm grateful for it. I appreciate that it touches people's hearts. It touches my heart. It's not, I don't claim responsibility for it. I'm grateful it's there, and I'm grateful that people are touched by it.
But you choose to share it with us. That's
Yes.
where I'm coming from, and that's cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Have to.
so Rosie, I've got a question for you, Rosie, as a director. So you're directing Douglas.
Mhm.
What's that like? Because he's a real pro. So what is that like?
It's wonderful. We're exceptionally
Oh.
lucky to have somebody of Douglas's caliber as part of this production. He's a wonderful actor. He's a wonderful singer, and he's just a very enjoyable human being. I've loved working with him. It's been so fun. I like to work in a really collaborative way. I like to get suggestions from actors. And when you have somebody who is such a professional, why would you not want to hear what their input is or what ideas they have? So I feel like it's been pretty fun. You know, it's been a slightly warm Ojai summer, but other than that, it's been really, really enjoyable seeing somebody of this caliber, what their work ethic is, what their approach is, what their ideas are, and all the wonderful things they bring to the table.
And Richard Camp, have you done Fantasticks before? Either
I have not done
participated
it
or directed?
before. I have seen it in a hotel once, but I've always loved this show. I think it's just one of the most beautiful shows ever written. And I want to comment on just one thing that Rosie brought up. You know, the fact that you saw it when you were 12 and you still remember it. So many people say that to us. I even put out a little thing on Facebook. I said, who remembers where they were when they saw the Fantasticks? And a million people have responded saying, yes, we want to see this. Because this is the play itself is based on an Edmond Rostand play. Who wrote Cyrano de Bergerac? It's based on La Romanesque, which incorporated elements of Romeo and Juliet and Midsummer Night's Dream, and Donizetti's Elixir of Love, which also incorporated the magic potion from Tristan and Isolde. So this play just goes all the way back. It threads itself back through the history of theater, and with the one overwhelming emotion that theater is most capable of presenting, which is love, and that's why we're doing the Fantasticks.
I had no idea. It goes back to so Tristan and Isolde, this what, 12th century, 13th century?
Yes, indeed, yes. And
Wow.
yeah, that thread goes all the way back, and that's what's wonderful about this. You know, the history of theater that it keeps going on, the patchwork quilt that has become the theater that we all know and love.
Richard, would you just explain that one more time? I want to make sure I get the trail right. So take us through this. Are you speaking about the like the references in the play, or you're speaking about like the DNA of the storyline?
I'm talking about the storyline. The play itself is based on a very romantic play by Edmond Rostand, who wrote Cyrano de Bergerac. And that play itself incorporates elements of Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer Night's Dream, and Donizetti's Elixir of Love. And when Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt wrote the play, they built upon those stories. They built upon those storylines. And by the way, I think Douglas mentioned this while we were in the break. Tom Jones just passed away at the age of 95. And so we are dedicating this show to him, the wonderful lyricist. The lyrics are just absolutely exquisite. Douglas sings them beautifully, and I might say that the rest of the cast also sings them and dances them very beautifully. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful show.
How do people get tickets? I'll tell you. I can give you a little bit of hint there. Well, first of all, how much are tickets? Tickets are $40, 35 for seniors and students. Opening night VIP tickets, I urge you to look into this. It's $125. That includes preferred parking, seating in the first 3 rows, and entrance to the opening night post-show party. If you are interested in the performance, it's like I said, it's running the 25th to the 27th of August and September 1st to the 3rd at Matilaha Auditorium. You want to go to ohaitheater.org, and that's how you're going to get your tickets.
And for
yeah,
you,
yeah.
and for you, opening night tickets include a happy birthday song.
Wow.
As a matter of
That's
fact, yes,
fantastic.
Elizabeth, since it's your birthday, I would like to invite you to come see the show on your birthday if you're available.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh,
Yes, it is.
definitely.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic. Well, thank you all. Rosie, thank you for being with us.
Thank
And
you.
Douglas, Lander, thank you. It was absolutely wonderful that you graced our airwaves today. And Richard, as always, thank you. And, I look forward to seeing everybody at the Fantasticks, August 25th. Thank you, guys. When we go to this quick break, after this break, we're going to interview another theater company. This is called the Speakeasy Project. So I'm going to pique your interest. It's called Sweet J Speakeasy. It's August 18th for 9 performances only, presented by the Fractured Actors Theater Company. And it's really a unique idea, presentation of a festival of new plays, 4 world premieres, and 1 acts by Ventura County playwrights. Super interesting because everybody gets a sort of a turn. And I want to talk to you a little bit about it. Today's opening night of that particular Speakeasy project. And it's a really cool collaborative local effort that is based on a premise. So we'll talk about that when we get back from the break. But I want to say thank you to the Fantasticks gang. When we get back from the break, we're going to introduce the gang from Sweet J Speakeasy, the Fractured Actors Theater Company, and the Golden Age. The name of the project is called the Golden Age. We'll talk about that when we get back from the break. Thank you, guys. Be back in a minute.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, you are clear.
All right. Thank you for having us, Elizabeth.
Yes,
Oh,
thank you.
Sure, it was great. It was great.
And yes,
Thank
Okay.
you.
please email Richard or myself about getting you there on opening night for a special birthday performance.
Oh, thank you. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye.
so who do we have here? We've got,
Hello.
I see Mandy, I see Antonio, I see Kathy, Harper, Emma, Penelope, Rosemary. Okay, and Brian just joined. Okay, so I'll quickly introduce everybody. And then who wants to tell me about the project?
Oh, we can all tell.
Yeah.
Who knows the most about it? Okay, maybe I can start and then Brian take over.
Okay,
You're a good
okay,
talker.
yeah.
You're muted though, Brian.
Yeah, if you guys want to just turn off the mute, because if you want to, we have so many of us here. If you want to just pitch in with a comment, you can. It's not like, well, I'm just going to call on people. So I want to introduce everybody here very quickly. Jeff sent me a bio on everybody, very short one, and there we go. So, and Richard's going to be doing hand signals. When you see hand signals, he's telling me the time I have left. So it's not no comment about what you're saying. If you're in the middle of a sentence, you haven't said a 4-letter word or anything like that. He's just telling me the times.
I'll be careful.
Yeah, I better watch it.
Yeah, Rosemary.
All right, here we go, Ian. Holy mackerel, look at all those people. 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and I'm talking to a bunch of wonderful actors. At the moment on my screen, there's 8 actors, all participating in a project called the Speakeasy Project, the Golden Age, and just a little bit of introduction, everybody that's here. I'm speaking with Emma Bangs, and she's working with fractured actors for 3 years. She's a playwright. She's sharing the stage with her mother, Martha. Interesting. Mandy Lucille Coleman is here. And Mandy is a voiceover actress. She completed narrating a series of children's books. She's a prior live radio personality and a lover of all things creative. Anthony Elias Contreras is joining for this year's Speakeasy, last seen on stage as a playwright, and last fall as chef in Don't Drink the Water. Penelope DeSoto is here. She is a rising senior with experience both on stage and backstage roles. And in her most memorable performance, she played Uncle Fester in the Addams Family musical with her high school. Harper Rose Ham is having, the second time in the Speakeasy Project. She is going to surprise us with what she's got to show us. Cassie Kelso Busey. Am I saying that right? Busey. Oh, Busey. She's making her debut. This is her first show in 3 years. She's performed all over the country, and past roles include Sylvia and Mrs. Frank in The Diary of Anne Frank. Rosemary Malloy is here. She's, she's a native of New Jersey. She appeared with the Little Egg Theater Company and Our Gang Players. Let's see, where's Rosemary?
Hi.
Do I see her? There she is. And Rosemary she conducts an acting for amateurs classes for mature adults. And her plays have been staged in Atlantic City, etc. And she's can't support the theater enough her entire life. And I think, Rosemary, how old are you? Do you mind telling?
No, I don't mind. I'm older. I'm more than 50, let me tell you. I was born in 1936, but December, so it was toward the end of it. Anyway, okay. I think Harper and I are the age, we're kind of the brackets. I'm probably
right. And Harper, how old are you?
I'm 8. I'm gonna be 9 in like a month.
That's amazing. So we have, as you say, a real arc. Brian White is here. He's past role Sigmund Freud in Freud's Last Session. Sergeant Merwin in Biloxi Blues, Paul Zara in Farragut North. Wonderful cast. And so I think Mandy has volunteered to tell us a little bit about the project. You're probably wondering, what are all these people doing? So Mandy's going to tell us a little bit.
Well,
Go ahead,
first,
Mandy.
I want to say thank you, KZSB Radio, for having us on today. We really, really appreciate it. We are a small portion of a huge group of people, the fractured actors. There are so many of us, and we're all from a huge variety of backgrounds, and as you can see, ages. But we are the fractured actors, and we come together, and we come together, and we're whole. We're whole, and it's just magic. And so the fractured actors, and this is called the Golden Age, a Speakeasy project, and it's really amazing. It's 4 one-act plays all together at once, and man, I'm just so proud to be a part of this group of people. Everyone is so talented and so professional and so welcoming. This is my first time with this group. That's why I was thinking maybe Brian, or he might want to tell you a little bit more about them because he's been with the group for a long time.
So let me
They're just so amazing. I really just want to say that.
Let me ask this. So everybody's that's here, all my 8 actors that are here have either written or are performing in these 4 one-act plays. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And the plays are world premieres by Ventura County playwrights. Is that right?
That
Okay.
is correct. First time they've been done.
Okay, Brian, tell us a little more about that.
Well, I mean, this is our fourth iteration of this. I mean, it's Fractured Actors as a theater company is we do things that are traditional, like we've put up Inherit the Wind and Arsenic and Old Lace. We also did Advancing Further, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So, and it all plays in between, but we're also about presenting things that are a little outside the normal, which is kind of where the Fractured comes from. It's that we as actors are imperfect, but we're striving for perfection. And we try to produce things that are a little outside the box, which our theater is just that. It's a black box. It's intimate. It's kind of surrounding, immersive theater. And for 4 different times, we've produced the Speakeasy project. And it's always been original works, a little off center, definitely not lacking in humor. And it gives artists of all stages a chance to perform. And so we have people that this will be their first time on stage. We have other people that have been doing this for a long time. So it's a wonderful venue. We seat about 60 patrons for each show. So it's in a nutshell kind of what the Speakeasy project is all about.
So, but the format, so the overarching theme is this idea of old Hollywood in the golden age. And I'm understanding that there's also going to be classic torch songs, and that there's this theme of a speakeasy. So can you tell us about this? Let's see, who can tell me more about this theme, this speakeasy, and how did this happen? Okay, Harper, go ahead.
The Speakeasy started out a little bit smaller, but every year we usually have like a theme. Last year it was Area 22, so that's kind of the idea. So yeah.
Okay,
like,
so and Harper, I'll just reintroduce Harper Ham is here. She's 18.
No.
And it looks she's 8. Sorry, she's 8. She's 8. That's right. Okay. And Jeff Ham and Shannon McNally Ham are playwrights. Are they any relation to you, Harper?
Yeah, they're my mom and my dad.
Oh, and they've written a play for this production, the Speakeasy project. So I want to know, does Harper know what Speakeasy comes from? Where does that expression come from? Do you know that, Harper?
The 1920s.
1920s, but what? So it had to do with something called prohibition, and it had to do with something around alcohol. So I'll give you Anthony. So Anthony's got this big smile. Anthony, go ahead.
Oh no.
Well, I can tell
frozen up a little bit. Oh, there you go.
I can tell. Anthony, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, my internet connection is a little wonky, but yeah, the Speakeasy began back in the roaring 20s when during alcohol prohibition, and they were secret clubs that you had to have passwords to get into, where you could in the shadows go enjoy yourself, listen to some good music, drink some spirits, and not have to worry about interference with the law as it was.
So Harper, the idea of the Speakeasy was there was sometimes like little windows in the door, into a hidden place where there'd be like music and people drinking and talking and laughing and this sort of thing. And so you'd go to the little window and you'd speak easy into the window. So, and that, to see if you could be let in. So that's where that comes from. But now, so who is singing? Let's see. And what are they singing? Are the songs involved in the plays, or is it just like a review type of a performance?
It's really I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Who should go ahead? It's really
anybody.
The golden age of Hollywood is really the theme, and the songs are, for instance, "Don't Fence Me In" that Ken Brooks is singing, all come from that era.
Okay, and so let me just have a round robin of everybody. Maybe start with Rosemary, and then we'll go to Penelope, Harper, Cassie, Anthony, Emma, Mandy, and Brian. After we get back from the break, I want everybody in that order to talk a little bit about what they're doing in the project, in the Speakeasy project. And just a reintroduction, August 18th, if you're listening today, it's opening night, and it's at the theater at Liminal in Ventura, and it's Ventura County Playwrights, and it's the 4th annual Festival of New Plays, and it runs till September the 2nd, Fridays and Saturdays at 8 p.m., Sundays at 5 p.m. with an extra matinee performance on September 2nd. How you're going to get tickets, we'll discuss that a little bit, but you can look up the Fractured Actors, fractured with a D on the end, like I have fractured my arm, fracturedactors.com, and that's how you're going to get your tickets. Don't turn that down. We'll be back in a minute. We're going to talk about what everybody's doing in the performances coming up, and opening night is tonight. We'll be back in a minute.
You're clear.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
You guys are doing a great job.
Anthony, I was waiting for you to say they were very dark days in the 1920s.
It sounds
Bathtub
like
gin.
yeah. Do you know, it's so funny because my grandmother, well, my grandmother and grandfather, my dad's side, my grandfather was a motorcycle cop, and he was involved in that era. You know, he was in his 20s in 1920s, and both of them were total teetotalers. And Harper, do you know what that word means? What's a teetotaler?
I don't know what it means either.
It means that they totally drink tea and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So they never touched a drop their entire lives.
Mm.
You know,
Poor thing.
I really, it's not, their granddaughter does not have that gene apparently, but yeah, that was, so prohibition really was a thing. And there was a lot of people that, you know, we used to have swearing in ceremonies where you swore that you were never going to touch a drop.
Wow.
Yeah. And my grandmother told me that she was in one of those ceremonies where she swore that she'd never in her entire life touch a drop. And we try to fool her, like we try to sneak one in, you know, like. She had 4 grandchildren. We were all, and especially my brother, he would, you know, put like a drop of wine in her tea and say, you just broke your vow and stuff like that. But it was a thing for sure. Yeah.
Never heard of that.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
Teetotaler.
Well, I think a lot of it was involved with various religious organizations.
Yes.
Because, you know, there was a connection between, you know, that it was the clean way to live, and churches, and a lot of it was associated with, you know, right at the turn of the century, where, you know, the cities were like a hotbed of vice. They used to be described as such. And so, and booze was associated with that, and even early drug use and prostitution. So, you know, that's where the churches picked it up. And, you know, little did they know that, you know, most of the Christian faith has something to do with booze one way or the other. But anyway, that's
Yeah, our
First
theater's not
miracle.
exactly the booze-fueled harem, but it's fun and it's dark and it's small.
Yeah, but it's like the perfect size.
Yes,
It is.
true.
And there are a lot of beautiful women there. So
Mhm.
That I was
in at the performance. You mean, okay, so explain that, Emma.
that there are beautiful women
Yeah, in the performances.
in the performances, singing all across the board. Yeah, I think that's what's cool about the golden age part of it too, is you can tap into a little bit of like the essence of whatever you might consider classic beauty, but we also have all kinds of people on stage with us. I think that's probably the most advantageous part of being in a small black box theater and having so many different groups of people is no matter who's there, you can look on stage and say, oh, there's someone that kind of looks like me. Like, maybe I could be inspired to do something similar to this or do something in my life that is maybe a little bit scary or that I might think I'm too young, old, or my nails are too long.
All right, stand by. We're coming back, and you have 8 minutes to the close. 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Okay, welcome back. I'm speaking to the Fractured Actors Theater Company, Sweet Jay's Speakeasy. It opens tonight for 9 performances only. This is the Golden Age, and it's 4th annual festival of new plays. And everybody that's here on the radio program, I'm looking at 8 beautiful faces of the actors, and we only have a few minutes, but I thought we could just do one sentence each, starting with Rosemary, about what she's doing. What is everybody doing in the production? Rosemary, go ahead.
Okay, I play woman, and I play the character Rose grown old. Rose is played by Caitlin. Anyway, I love the show, and I love being with Fractured Actors.
And what about Penelope?
Yeah, so this is my first show, but I'm playing Fox Studios as like a screenwriter representative for them. Yeah.
How about Harper? What is your role?
Her name is Shirley, based off of Shirley Temple, and but the thing is, she's really mean and she's a diva. So, it's really fun to get to play her. I yell at a few people, and then in the beginning, I'm like nicer. Yeah, but it's really fun to get to play as her. And it's also really fun to get to be in the Speakeasy with everyone. But last year, there weren't many kids, just except for my older brother, Hudson. And this year we have 2 kids, but we didn't just meet them this year, but we're really glad to have them this year. They are Lila Randolph and Jackson Meyer. So it has been really fun to work with some other kids this time. And
how cool. So, and just a shout out that Harper is 8 years old, as opposed to Rosemary, who just spoke, who you could add a 0 onto the 8 probably.
You could add a 6 onto the 8.
Okay, 86. Right. Cassie, tell us what your role is.
Oh, well, I'm actually doing 2. So one is Olivia Fairweather, who is one of the hosts of the entire show, along with Anthony. And my main role is actually, her name is Mildred Simpkins, in the show Dead Man Talking. She is a woman of many personalities, and I'm going to leave it at that. So just come see the show if you want to find out what that is.
But Anthony, what's your role?
I'm playing multiple roles in multiple scenes. Along with Cassie, I'm also hosting as Monty Valentino. I'm also playing Cassie's husband, Arthur Simpkins, in Dead Man Talking, which is a really interesting show. And also in After All This Time, I'm playing Officer 2/Dewey.
How about Emma?
In the 2 shows that I'm cast in How to Create a Flop, I am a silent character named Jeeves, and in Dead Man Talking, I'm Sergeant Baker alongside Cassie, Anthony, and Brian. So we have almost our full cast up here. Shout out to that show.
I was just thinking that.
Super fun.
And so now, Emma, you shout out to that show because
that's almost our whole cast in this one. I had a really great time working specifically with Ben Colby Wilson. He's a young director. I think he's right about my age, 24, and he's an amazing actor, but I believe this is one of his first times directing, and it was amazing working with him. Like I said, during the break, it's amazing to have so many different ages, styles, types of people on the stage and be in such an intimate space where you can really find a space for you and feel like you can do anything really in our tiny little theater.
I'm curious because it's such a unique project.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian was saying that, you know, you have about 60 patrons a night.
Mhm.
Do you have full houses?
I believe
Emma?
tonight we're gonna have a full house. Yeah, I have a couple people that texted me right when I woke up this morning saying, "Are there still tickets available?" There are flags on our website when you're buying tickets that let you know if they're running out. But if you're gonna come opening weekend or closing night, I would get them as soon as possible. And yeah, those front row seats, especially, those sell out pretty quickly. We do have student, senior, and military discounts as well. So if anybody wants to jump in, that's limited seating, and some of that front row seating is the best spot to be in just because it's such an intimate spot. You really get to like be close up and be in the action and, you know, get involved.
So it just very quickly, it's fractured with a D, fractured, like I have fractured, fracturedactors.com for tickets. Mandy, what's your role?
Oh, I have 3 roles in the play. I get to be a host, Lucille, and then I'm also in Paper Cuts, where I play the production assistant, and I play another part where I get to dress up in something, but I'm not going to tell you what it is so that it's a big surprise.
No spoilers.
And how about Brian? What's your role?
I've got a couple of them. As has been mentioned, Dead Man Talking, which is like a film noir piece. Get to play a detective, trench coat, hat, whole 9 yards. You got to come to see it. It's great. Nothing like live theater. I'll say that. It's, you know, it's a vapor. It's put out there live and just it goes out, and that's the end of it. And it's exciting to be able to present things live now. And I'm also a soul crushing, art crushing mogul of the studio system. So
I love it. Soul crushing. And you know, I want to get inspired here. I want to come back to Rosemary Malloy very quickly. And Rosemary, was reading your bio. You conduct the acting for amateurs classes for mature adults. Why do you think theater is so important for those of us, and I'm one of them, that are not young anymore?
Well, I think partly because it gets you out of your common mind or head. You become someone else, and it's fulfilling. It's very life confirming, I think. I didn't start acting until after I turned 70. So you have to take the, no, I didn't. So you have to take the leap. And, you know, I've been in a lot of stuff. And anyway, I just think it's wonderful for older people.
I thank you all, everybody, and good luck. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you there.
Thank you.
All right, you are clear. Thank you. Let me turn that off. I will need the Zoom, but you can chat for a few moments. I'll give you a couple moments to chat and wrap up your conversation there. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send to Jeff the recording of this particular